Welcome to the Dirt Trail Running Podcast. My name is Michelle Hartwig, and I am your host. I'm also a race director for a bunch of Midwest trail races like Kettle Moraine 100 and Hennepin 100. And I'm here with my dirt dog right over this direction. She has a nice, comfy spot to watch us on the show, make sure everything's going okay. And my co-host, Crystal the Pistol.
Hello, everyone. How's it going? Happy Monday. Yeah, it's Monday. Oh my gosh. Hope everyone's doing good. I just wanted to remind everyone to like and subscribe to our YouTube page. We are trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. And if we get to 1,000, Michelle's son Royal will do some kind of dance for us. And I'm really pushing for the Nutcracker. So everyone needs to subscribe because I need this to happen. He needs to be in the camera.
Yeah, he's never been on camera. He's a professional dancer, so we need to see this. And we don't want the Nutcracker to be danced in December. We want it off season.
Yeah, so please everyone like and subscribe our YouTube page. We appreciate it a lot.
And then we're very excited about our guest tonight. We got Craig Hunt, and I have a whole list of things that Craig has done, and I just chose 5 that I'll read, and then we'll kind of get to know him more after that. So he's from Flagstaff, Arizona, or that's where he's living at now. Anyhow, we'll find out more in a little bit. So he just got done running the Hoka One Project Carbon X2, where he finished 6th place in a time of 6:55:42. And then Mad City 50K, which is a Wisconsin favorite here, he ran a 5:30 pace and finished in 2 hours and 51 minutes, where he qualified for Worlds in Romania and then finished 10th place there. Let's see. And then at Grandma's Marathon, he ran a 2:15 qualifier for the Olympic trials and then did very well at the trials. So that's just a small little summary of Craig, and we're super excited to chat with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to chat with you guys. Yeah, and I think there's a lot more backstory to a lot of those accomplishments that make them even more worthy.
Oh, good. Well, we want to. I don't know the backstories necessarily, so if you have a place that you want to start, a story that we should ask you right away, let's start with that.
Oh, I pick a race. Pick one of those races you mentioned. I'll give you a little backstory or how it, my build up towards it.
Okay, well, I mean, the Hoka race just got done, so we might as well talk about that.
All right. Yeah. First off, great experience. I owe so much to Hoka One for letting me into the event and hosting it first off. But yeah, I mean, I didn't get accepted into that race until about 2.5 weeks prior to it. So what I originally was training for was the Brooks Marathon project on December 20th. So I raced that. I ran 2:15:29 there, tying my PR exactly from Grandma's Marathon down to the second. And then I actually took a little time off, focused on work a little. And then on January 1st, I kind of sent a bunch of emails and negotiated my way basically into the Hoka 100K. Did some talking back and forth, took about a week to actually get into the race. And then, I had 2.5 weeks to kind of continue to train and then run 100K. My debut, never have run that far. Wasn't planning on racing it at all, but it's right in my backyard. I live in Flagstaff, and they hosted it down in Chandler, Arizona, about 2.5 hours south. So I wasn't going to let, Jim Walmsley and a bunch of other great trail runners and local Flagstaff runners kind of run this amazing race and not have my name attached to it and be a part of it and help them out. So it was just really late getting into the race. But I told myself I knew they were going for the world record, and I basically just wanted to see how long I could hang in on that world record pace, which is 5:56 pace for 100K. And I surprised myself a little. I was actually the last one kind of standing with Jim. Everyone else had kind of fallen off. So found myself with just me and Jim at about basically from 50K all the way to like 60, 65K. And then he kind of picked it up a little. And I fell off a little. I made it to about 70K on world record pace. I made it about 52 miles on American record pace. And then those last 10 miles, didn't go as planned and kind of fell apart, jogged it in, ended up finishing in 6 hours and 55 minutes, which I'm pretty happy with, especially for running it probably the toughest way you could ever run it. But I'm pretty happy. Didn't walk a single step. So.
Yeah, I would be pretty happy with that.
Right.
We were watching and saw that you were with Jim for a very long time and chatting. Like, what were you guys talking? Like, you can talk and run. Like, most of us can't understand that. How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, it's a long time to be running, almost, anywhere from 6 to 7 hours we were out there racing. So we obviously the first half we're just chatting about anything. There were 3 of us that are from Flagstaff. Eric Sensman, who was just in the pace car right in front of us, was from Flagstaff. So we kind of hear what he was saying and we could converse with him as well. So literally we were talking about the big winter storm that was coming in that night and how we were going to get like 3 feet of snow. We were talking about ultra races and strategies. Like I said, the first I had raced is a 50K. 100K was new territory for me. And then like Jim just got talking and he was saying all these little tidbits about how to maximize your ultras and what to do. And I just like little things started clicking in my head. I was like, oh my goodness, like I never thought of doing that or, running that way. So honestly, just learning tips. I don't know, just learning about some of the guys I had never met, Cole Watson and Hayden Hawks. That was the first time I had met them and raced with them. So just kind of chatting a little with them. Found out that Hayden Hawks has never run like a road race, basically, has never run a road marathon. So I thought that was really interesting with, being one of the biggest ultra trail guys that he's never even attempted a road marathon. So just kind of like talking about how everyone kind of got to that point and got to the starting line was just really interesting. I don't know, just anything to just cracking little jokes, anything to kind of keep your mind going and not overthinking the race, because that'd be, 6 to 7 hours of just thinking about running, which even, the most diehard runners don't want to do.
That is really cool. I mean, like, we're all watching. It's so fun for me to just hear that you guys were talking about a snowstorm coming in.
Yeah.
And all the training tips. Like, that's super cool. So what did you learn anything for your next 100K, or did it leave you inspired to do another 100K?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I definitely want to give a crack at another 100K, several other 100Ks, whether they're on the road or on trail. I see myself excelling at that distance. And yeah, I learned a ton. Obviously, going out at world record pace when you don't train for 100K probably isn't the smartest thing, but it kind of gave me confidence knowing I could hold it for 70K, plus. So if I had kind of paced myself and run the race that my fitness probably actually showed that I could do. I could run, closer to 6:30 or 6:27 on the roads, on a fast course like that. And yeah, I learned a lot about nutrition. I thought I was hydrating. I was taking more nutrition than I have in any of my 50Ks or my marathons. And it ended up still coming back to kind of bite me. As not being enough. Like I was dehydrated. I kind of started cramping at the end and stuff. So just really learning to take in all my nutrition. If my bottle isn't empty, don't chuck it to the side. Don't skip it. Like finish it. So yeah, definitely learned a bunch, and I'm excited for my next 100K and ultra races, and just how I'm going to build and progress and learn from everything that I've done.
Yeah, when I mentioned everything that you had done, a lot of it was like more road sort of racing, but you're living there in Flagstaff, where there is a lot of professional road runners and professional trail runners. Where do you see yourself as?
Oh man, that's tough. I think a lot of people, including myself, would probably categorize myself more as a road person if I had to distinguish between road and trails. But I definitely like to think of myself more as like an ultra runner. So anything, from a marathon up to 100K now is where I see my discipline, whether it's road or trail. Flagstaff's amazing. Like I can train on trails every single day when the weather cooperates. But I can also train with some of the best road runners and trail runners, right here in my backyard. So for me, it's hard to really pick my category of if I'm road or trail, because I want to do it all. I want to be good at everything, and I think I still can, be in shape to PR in the marathon and be competitive on the trails with some of the top US guys in the nation. But I know I lack some of that trail experience. I've really only run maybe 2 or 3 trail races and had success, but I have way more road experience and just ultra experience under my belt of anything.
Yeah, I was thinking about you and Flagstaff. Like, what does Flagstaff look like? Like, like, hey, there's a weekend run. Let's go. There's Jim Walmsley. There's Eric Sinsman. Like, I mean, there's so many people. I want to hear a little bit about life in Flagstaff.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I've lived in some amazing places, and I think I've really found, the whole of everything, whether, the balance of career, social life, running, and, altitude in Flagstaff. I've spent 2 years in Colorado, in Gunnison, Colorado, loved it there, but just didn't have that social aspect and a long-term career aspect. And Flagstaff really just brings the best of everything. And yeah, like you said, like you turn left, you turn right, there's someone to run with, especially pre-COVID. Everyone's a little more cautious now with the pandemic. But, pre-COVID, yeah, it was every Thursday morning you could go to the Biff's Bagel Run and have 20 to 30 people to run with of all levels and abilities. There's a Facebook group where everyone posts where they're going to run for their long run on Sunday morning. So it's amazing. Yeah, I've shown up to runs, and sometimes it's a smaller group. Maybe it's only like 3 or 4 guys. And I've shown up to other group runs and it's, 30 plus people, and I'm in the slower half of that group. So for a 2:15 marathoner to say that, like, it's pretty crazy, like the depth that you can find in Flagstaff, and whether they live here or they're just doing a training stint, it's just amazing. And you make a lot of connections and a lot of friends and stuff. You run with Edward Cheserek, you run with Jim Walmsley, so some of the best track guys in the world, some of the best trail guys in the world, and then anything in between. Molly Seidel, like, come into town, they train. So it's mind blowing. But it's great. You got it's not quite a small mountain town, but it's small enough to feel cozy, but big enough to have everything that you could ever dream of, and enough trails and road to get any type of workout that you can.
Yeah, how many people live in Flagstaff?
So it's about 70,000, I believe, but then we have Northern Arizona University, which has about 30,000 students. So you combine the two, it's about 100,000 people, give and take the season of the year.
And like, so one question that Crystal and I always like to know, like, if we come to Flagstaff, where do you suggest that we go run at?
Oh, definitely if you're a trail runner, I definitely recommend going up to Schultz Tank, and I really like the Weatherford Trail. It's about a 7-mile climb to the top of the saddle, and then you can either flip around and come right back down it, or you can make it's like an 18-mile loop, into the inner basin and down Waterline Road. It's one of my favorite, one of my go-tos when, if there's no snow on it.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Is it well marked?
Yeah, it's pretty well marked. Yeah, so you can find all the signs and where to turn. There aren't too many turns on it, which makes it that much easier, but it's pretty clear that when you need to make a turn onto a new trailhead, there's a nice big sign, indicating what trail you're getting onto.
That sounds great. What about I'm
Hmm.
also I like running on roads sometimes too. Is there a route there that you like?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're looking for more of like a dirt service road, Woody Mountain is my go-to. It's nice and rolling. I'm a fan of hills, so I'm never one to seek out just completely flat runs. So Woody Mountain is nice and rolling. I think it's about like 8 miles out. You come across Rogers Lake, so you have a nice view of, a lake, or sometimes it's dried up during the summer, with like the mountains and the peaks in the background. So it's just an awesome one. You can always bump into other runners and professionals and stuff out there, so you're rarely by yourself. If you're looking for something more paved, Lake Mary is definitely, like the cliche road that everyone does their workouts on. It's marked every quarter mile, so you can know all your splits for your easy run or your workout, your tempo, whatever you do. And there's several points to start your runs, on that road. So I usually start my runs at about mile 4, and I kind of I'll go out and back, and that's just nice too. It's a little rolling, nice wide shoulder, so you don't have to worry about cars all that much.
That sounds really amazing. I Nick Panich, you might know him, keeps inviting me to come out and visit. He's from the Midwest, and I'm anxious to get out there and check out those trails. I got families fairly close to the area, so that's super interesting to hear. Where do
Yeah,
you
if
work
you've
at?
got the opportunity, you should definitely come out. It's definitely worth it.
Oh, yes. And then I was gonna ask. So, are you a full-time runner, or do you work on top of that, or do you have a running job?
Yeah, great question. I have a full-time job, so I'm a full-time personal trainer, at a local gym. It's called the Physio Shop. So we have personal training as well as physical therapy and massage therapy. So I'm the lead trainer there, and yeah, I work 40 plus hours a week. Um, Early mornings, my day starts. I get up almost every single day between 4 and 4:30 a.m. and I'm at work at 5:45, opening up the gym at 6. Um, there till 2, so it's nice to kind of get off at 2 o'clock and then have my afternoon to get my training in, or I stay and get my lifting in. Um, but yeah, full-time job, and running right now is, it's just my passion and my hobby. No one's paying me to run. I'm just doing it, out of, my goodwill and, what my heart really desires and wants to chase. So yeah.
Well, it's fun to do that and actually be competitive, at the level that you're in. I mean, that sounds really exciting, and it definitely doesn't come easy. I'm sure, did you have natural talent as that you knew as a young person or younger?
Uh, yeah, I mean, I was always competitive, and I was always, a top contender in almost any race. From the day I stepped into high school, like on my cross country team. Um, so yeah, I played soccer up until then, so I just kind of had that aerobic base. But I knew I was going to be a runner. My older brother ran in high school, so I just followed in his footsteps. I went to New Milford High School in Connecticut, so nowhere near Flagstaff. Um, our high school team was just super successful, and as a freshman in high school, I was running 10 flat ish in the 2 mile, and I wasn't making our varsity squad. I was, the eighth, ninth, 10th guy on the team. So it wasn't actually until my sophomore year that I kind of made the varsity squad in our high school team. And from there, I never really looked back. I just kept progressing, um, and, getting better and better. Never won any conference or state titles, but I think that kept me hungry. I was always at second place or third place, but it really kept me hungry, and found a lot of success in college at Central Connecticut State University. And then once I graduated, kind of moved out west, and that's where I pursued some coaching and kind of got into my post collegiate career.
And then to go a little bit back to the gym that you work at. So like you're a personal trainer. Are you like working with running programs, or you talked about lifting some weights? What exactly are you doing there?
Yeah, I work with athletes, moms and dads, kids, everybody that you could, possibly imagine. So I do have some running athletes. So I write training and write strength training for about 5 runners. And it's great because they can come into the gym. I interact with them in person. And I see, I know I really incorporate strength training, which a lot of, I know runners don't do, especially just at the average citizen level. Like they're not getting coached and have access to a gym. So it's a great combination that we have at the physio shop. Me being able to write their training, but them having access to a physical brick and mortar location to do their strength training. And then I work with, soccer moms, soccer dads. I work with middle school and high school kids. Some of them, play varsity sports. Some of them have never, touched a basketball in their life. I work with Parkinson's patients, people, of advanced ages, so it's such a wide spectrum, and I love it all because I have to have this wide array of tools in my exercise box, basically, of like, how can I cater towards every person of every different ability, and how can I progress them and get them to their goals, whether that's running a marathon or literally just being able to sit up in their bed and be able to, walk across their room without falling over or tripping over something. So it's a great job, and I love it. And being able to really see people improve in their life and their physical ability is just really rewarding.
Oh, that's I can absolutely feel how much you love that job, and I feel so lucky for everybody that gets a chance to work with you. Don't you feel that, Crystal?
I do. I think it's really awesome.
And yeah, so that is a lot to juggle, though. That with the amount, the kind of running you do. Like for your training, do you get some of it done while you're helping other people? Like, how do you juggle all that?
Yeah, it is. It's a balancing act. You got to give and take some, and I definitely early on, like after college, I pursued running a lot, and I kind of put my running first. And I kind of have a better balance now with everything. I just turned 30, so I realize that I have to have a career, and running's not going to pay the bills. So I have a career, and I definitely put just as much effort into that as I do with my running. So a lot of ultra runners, Jim Walmsley is a great example. He's running 170-mile weeks, or even more moderately, or 120-mile weeks. That's something that I kind of have a balance with, and I know that I may never run that much ever again like I used to. I'm probably more of like a 90 to 100 miles a week when I'm in the peak of my training, but I'm balancing that with my full-time career, and hopefully, substituting some of that mileage with strength training, which I'm a huge believer in, and trying to get better at practicing what I preach, because all I do all day is make people exercise and lift weights, and I'm not always the best about doing it myself, but I'm getting better about it. And it's just a balancing act. I'd love to be running 120, 130 miles a week, but that would just lead to injury and burnout, and I can just find way more consistency with running less, maybe doing more moderate workouts, and not doing these, grand slam workouts that you see some professional runners doing when that's truly their full-time job.
I'm really curious about the strength work that you do and lifting weights, because that's, we have a coaching business here at Ornery Mule Racing, and it's one thing that the coaches have been talking, to each other about is, like what's beneficial.
Michelle, you went on mute.
Yeah, I see that something just
Yeah, you
happened.
cut out a little, but yeah, strength training. I can speak to that. I definitely think it's really important. You think of a lot of injuries that runners get, and they're overuse injuries. So, you're running, you're going out for your long run, you're doing 15 miles. basically your muscles are fatiguing and it's calling upon other muscle fibers to take over that load. And if you don't have those muscle fibers to call upon, they don't have the strength to kind of go the distance, you're going to eventually lead to an injury. So the more you can strength train, especially I'm a big fan of actually lifting heavy, which, you might not actually believe a lot of scrawny runners lift heavy, but heavy is going to mean something different to everybody. So I definitely believe on actually putting some weight on the bar and doing a squat, deadlifting, power cleaning, those basic Olympic lifts, getting that heavy weight underneath you. So that way your muscles can get stronger. You can recruit more muscle fibers for when you're running. And you can kind of just call upon more muscle fibers to last longer and do more work for a longer sustained period of time. I've learned a ton from the physical therapists I work with. So, I've learned a lot about, lateral movement and a lot of lateral strength too. So, running, we're just constantly going forward and backwards, but we waste a lot of energy going side to side when you start breaking down and you sway side to side. So the better your core strength can be, your rotational strength can be, the less energy you're going to waste swaying side to side, and you can put that energy to going forward and propelling yourself off the ground and running faster. So yeah, I just think there's so many ways to go about strength training, and I don't know what the 100% right answer is, but as long as you're getting in the gym and you're doing something, it's going to be beneficial. And I think you're going to find even more benefit if you aren't afraid of actually lifting some heavy weights, and just putting yourself in uncomfortable positions in the weight room, just like you would in a track workout.
That's super interesting.
Mhm.
About how much time are you spending on weights compared to running?
Yeah, so I probably, ideally, I would love to be lifting 3 times a week, probably spending 60 to 90 minutes per session in the gym. And then on top of that, running anywhere from 80 to 100 miles a week.
That's great. What about speed? Do you work speed and like every run, or like how do you do that? I don't want to like you to give away your trade secrets, but just somebody that's like looking to get faster, help them learn a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no secrets that I'm trying to keep. I want to, share all my knowledge that I have and my experiences that I have. So yeah, I have a coach, Jay Bauckham, and basically, you know, if you think marathon, 50Ks, especially on the road, you probably think classic tempo runs, long threshold runs. But honestly, I can't tell you the last time I did a tempo run. I do a ton of fartlek work. So I'll do 20 by 1 minute, 40 by 1 minute, 15 by 2 minutes, things like that with equal rest or less rest. But the on portion of that, the faster portion, is well beyond my marathon pace. So I'm going closer to half marathon, maybe even dipping into like 10K pace. And then my recovery jog, if you want to call it, is maybe 20 seconds slower than my marathon pace. So it's very much, a true fartlek, where I'm fluctuating really fast. I'm getting that speed work, but I'm only dialing it back on my rest to where it's almost more of like a threshold tempo pace. And I might end up, those workouts might end up being 15 to 20 miles long, not including a warm up and cool down. And I look at my watch and I average almost marathon pace. I'm averaging 5:18, 5:20 pace for that whole duration. So you look at it as a whole and you might think I did a tempo run, but you actually look at my splits and how I fluctuated, and you're going to realize that I actually did several, intervals within, that long period of time.
That's super interesting. Have you continued to see yourself get faster over the years?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think just with experience, you're never going to run your quickest marathon the first time you go out. It's a learning curve. So I've learned a ton over the last 3 or 4 years since I started running marathons, and I can see myself progressing even more. I think my best days are still ahead of me. And I think that comes with experience and consistency. Yeah.
I like that. So Rory had said that there's a funny story about the Golden Trail segment of Flagstaff. Uh,
Yeah. So hopefully, as trail runners, most people will have heard of the Golden Trail series that Solomon puts on every year. This past year, because of COVID, they went from having all these qualifying races to basically creating these Strava segments across the world. And if you were the leader of this Strava segment at the end of the qualifying window, you got a golden ticket to their world championship race in Azores. So it was pretty crazy. They created a golden trail segment literally, 5 miles from my house in Flagstaff. So I basically was like, I gotta go for this. Like, there's 18-mile trail loop. It was about almost 4,000 feet of elevation gain, I believe. And it was trails that I've run on, several times. So I knew it like the back of my hand. And I knew that, I had a shot at it. And the only person that could probably beat me were, maybe like Jim Walmsley or Jared Hazen or Eric Sensman or someone that had way more trail experience. But I had this Golden Trail segment, on my calendar for months. So I finally, I let some people kind of go for it, and they set times. And I think it was down to, I think the leading time at one point was like 2 hours and 37 minutes. And I decided to go for it. And I basically crushed the leading time. I ran about 14 minutes quicker than anybody else had on the course. I ran 2 hours and 23 minutes, I believe, 24 minutes, right around there. And I was the number one runner, for the longest period of time. There was about 24 hours left in the competition, for someone to come and beat me. There was a runner from Colorado that came down, and he literally missed my Strava segment by 1 second. So I was still for 18 miles it was over 18 miles to miss it by 1 second. It's crazy. And then basically, maybe there's 20 hours left. All I had to do was hang on, make sure no one beat my segment for 20 hours. And all of a sudden, Jim Walmsley throws down an insane time. He runs 2:16, taking 7 minutes off of my time, which is pretty crazy. I knew it would be a really tall order to go and, take a crown from him. But the next morning I woke up and I gave it my shot, and I probably made it about 4 or 5 miles into the segment and realized I was already 3 or 4 minutes behind him, and decided to just kind of throw the towel in and give him the victory that he deserves. But yeah, I was the leader of that segment for a while. So it was exciting, and it was good. I mean, I actually, when I raced the segment, I took a pretty hard spill too, going down one of the big downhills. So I did a full barrel roll. I had cuts and scrapes all over the side of my body, and I posted them on Strava so everyone could see how intense, I scraped myself up and I just barrel rolled right back in and just kept on my pace. But it was pretty gnarly, and definitely an experience I'll remember for a long time. And hopefully I plan on getting back out there and getting my segment back, whether I go to a world championship or not. I want to be the leader of that segment.
So is that an FKT, or do you have to apply for it to be an FKT on that?
I'm not quite sure how FKTs work exactly. I've never, gone for an FKT, but it's just a Strava segment. So, anybody can create a segment on Strava. This is just a very specific competitive one that Solomon created in partnership with Strava. And, they put something on the line. If you were the leader of it, you went to the world championships. So there was just a lot more on the line there. And so you got a lot of good runners from Flagstaff and Colorado to come and give it a go. And it's hard to take that segment when Jim Walmsley lives just a few miles away from from the trailhead.
Yeah, it's a really creative way to, so this was the year of COVID that they did this.
Yep. So this is in 2020. It was I believe it was, the segment might have ended, like the timeline ended in September, and then the World Championships were in October.
So do you think that you could have ran it faster if it was a race and you had somebody like pushing you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If I went head to head with someone, it definitely would have been quicker. If I had more trail experience, it would have been quicker. There's you could give all these scenarios and if, ands, and buts. But yeah, I think it'd be a really competitive race if, you could actually structure a race like that. It would draw a lot of good attention and get some really good competition, and you'd see, I'd run faster, and I'm sure everyone else would run faster as well.
Yeah, I love that they did that though. I think that it's really fun, the challenge of trying to do it on your own. Were you allowed to be supported, or did you just carry, or did you need it?
Yeah, so it was the rules were pretty, loose. So yeah, I'm sure you could be supported. I personally wasn't supported at all. So no fluids. I had, I believe, 2 gels along the way. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of, you're in the middle of the woods here. It's kind of, I'm sure I could have convinced some of my friends to hike up a few miles and give me some water or gels or something. But again, kind of balancing everything with my job and my career. And it's a really popular trail, so I had to do it during the week, because on the weekends you would just run into way too much foot traffic. There's no way you'd be able to run fast with foot traffic that this trail, attracts. So I had to do it, early in the morning on like a Thursday, right before work. So it would have been extra hard to convince, some of my friends and runners to get up at 5 a.m. to hike up to the peak of the mountain to just hand me a water bottle and see me for 5 seconds as I blow by.
And it's a very hard run. I saw a picture. It looked like it was pretty tough.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it starts 4 miles straight uphill to the tallest peak in Flagstaff here is Humphreys, and you go right to like the saddle basically. So you're at probably over 11,000 feet that you climb up to. You start at 9,000 feet. So there you go, 2,000 plus foot climb right away at altitude. Definitely not easy.
That's really fun. Well, congrats on that. You did a great job.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, we do want to hear about Mad City, because I race director of Kettle Moraine 100, and Timo was one of the race directors with Jason Dorgan. They were race director for 18 years, and then they turned it over to me 2 years ago. And and Timo is race director at Mad City, and he is iconic here in the Midwest. We love this race, and so we just want to hear about your experience there. What did you think of Wisconsin?
Yeah, it was great. It was great. I think the story kind of begins 5 weeks prior to Mad City. So I believe it was about 5 weeks. I actually made my 50K debut at the Comset 50K on Long Island, which was the USATF 50K National Championships. And my goal was to qualify for the world team. And you got an automatic spot if you won that race. I finished 4th. So definitely outside of my goal of qualifying for the team. I still hit the world standard, but I knew that it wasn't going to be quick enough to make the team. So I pretty quickly decided to bounce back 5 weeks later and run another road 50K at Mad City, because that was the second automatic qualifier. If you won it, got a spot on the team. And yeah, I learned a lot from my first 50K, and I took all that experience about hydrating and nutrition and pacing properly to heart, and I executed it perfectly at Mad City. I had Kyle Masterson, who's a Hoko One runner now, to compete with. And I knew he was going to be my main competition. So we raced, side by side most of the way with each other. I think with about maybe 15 or 20K left, he started picking it up, and I let him go because I knew what the pace that I was on was what I could hold. And so he was in the lead for most of that second half. And I think I caught him maybe with 2 miles left in the race. I caught him as he was kind of, I think he was slowing a little, but I also just had timed things perfectly. And my fastest miles were, those last few, and I just kind of blew right by him, and he kind of knew he was going to finish second. He gave me a little, like, go for it, like, you're killing it, which was awesome to hear. And yeah, ended up winning, getting that automatic spot onto the world team. And I also set a course record, breaking Tyler Andrews' course record. So it was just like a great experience. And the fact that I was able to bounce back 5 weeks, later, from running my first 50K and achieve that and feel good about it was pretty amazing.
That is awesome.
That is awesome. It sounds like a fun race too.
Yeah, it's great. It's challenging. There's a lot of hills. It's rolling, and it's a 10K loop. So you might think that's boring, but I think it's like the perfect distance loop. You don't, you're not doing them, 31-mile loops, around a park. You have a nice 6-mile, 10K loop that you're doing. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it, and I will definitely be back in the future.
That's cool. Well, if actually, I put on a race the same day. You'll have to come. I'm pretty sure
maybe
it's
I'll
the
double
same
dip.
day. You'll have to come try Earth Day. I think it's the race. It's not always the same day, but a lot of times it is. I'm actually in Illinois, but I'm just like 50 miles south of Wisconsin. And,
Okay.
but yeah, we love Timo. Everybody go run his race for sure. But I probably won't be able to get out there. Let's see what I'm getting off on a tangent here. But yeah, so I did also want to ask you, you did talk about wanting to maybe do 100K, like dip your feet a little bit more into the ultra stuff. Like what do you have your eye on?
Yeah, so I think, I would definitely do another 100K road like record attempt if Hoka put that on, or another organization put that on. I'd be interested in that. But I definitely think like the ultra distance, when it gets up to 50 miles, 100K, 100 milers, like I'd rather them be trail. So I would love to, qualify for Western States one year. So Black Canyon, which is a trail race here in Arizona, is a golden ticket race typically. So I'd love to get into that and do it. And then therefore run Western States. I was actually, in 2020, I was signed up to do Run Rabbit Run in Colorado, which is, one of the hardest trail races and 100-milers in the world. And I signed up for that without ever have done anything over a 50K and no trail races under my belt. I just wanted to throw myself into the hardest race I could find. And unfortunately, it got canceled about 2 weeks out from the start of it. But I knew I was in great shape. Like I had previewed the course. I went up there and spent a whole weekend up there running the trails. So yeah, I would love to get that 100K, 100-mile experience and run some really cool, really, scenic trail races.
Yeah, I think the 100K distance is actually, like, I was excited to see Hoka do that because I think that's a race. There's not that many out there, and I think it's a very fun distance to run because you're not getting to that 100-mile mark where you're, like, past the 100K, your body kind of falls apart a little bit more, I think. And that 100K, you can really push right up until, like, you can full on race that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you talk 100 miles, and I haven't run one, so I'm not an expert by any means, but your nutrition will totally change. Your pace totally changes. But yeah, 100K, you can kind of sustain a really fast pace, sub 6 minutes, for the entire race. And yeah, it's a very interesting distance because it's also, the furthest distance that World Athletics recognizes as a world record versus a world best. So you have a lot of world bests in the 100-mile, the 24 hours, the 50-mile, but those aren't really world records. So the 100K is that furthest race, the only ultra distance that is an official world record. So I think that's why it kind of holds a little more weight than some of the other ultra distances.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Mhm.
Does it have to be on like a certain trail, like a certain elevation, or like how does that work?
So it needs to, just like a marathon needs to be certified for world record approval, that course would have to be as well. So yeah, they have elevation, criteria. So luckily the Carbon X, race was just a loop course, so the elevation didn't really change all that much. And they tried to find the flattest course, so it would be the fastest. But yeah, there's some pretty strict criteria, and you have to have, gold standard, officials come out and measure it and mark it. So there's a lot that goes into, getting those distances certified and having them world record eligible.
Yeah, so it would be more likely it's not going to be on a trail, like a full-on trail, because most people
Yeah,
going for that, they're going to want it on the flattest distance.
exactly. Like, yeah, it'd be pretty hard to find a trail or even a dirt road that's flat and fast enough to run a world record. You're gonna have to be on pavement where it's a little more responsive and quicker, even though it might beat your legs up more than a trail would.
Yeah, although the Hennepin 100, we don't have a 100K distance, but the first 50 miles is slightly downhill. So, and it's dirt mainly. That would be a good course. Maybe we need to add 100K.
Oh my gosh, I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe that could work out. I know, Tunnel Hill is a really good one in Illinois that's run some really fast times. So, but I don't know. I'm not an expert with the criteria that you need to meet, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you could find a nice flat, fast dirt road, maybe slightly downhill that would qualify.
Yeah. Well, Hoka did a good job. That was a
Mhm.
great course. Was it
Absolutely.
Hoka that put that on? Is that how that
Yep.
worked?
Yeah, it was Hoka One put it on, private event, just, their select athletes were accepted into it. And yeah, it was a great event and amazing experience.
And I mean, it's pretty cool that you're a Hoka athlete. Like, I mean, everybody loves Hoka. Tell us a little bit about that and what you do for them.
Yeah, actually, like I said, I only got into that race about 2.5 weeks prior to it. So they pretty quickly just wrote a little agreement up for me, and I signed on, basically just for that one event to be a Hoka athlete, which was, a truly a life experience. But yeah, right now I don't really have anything official with any company or brands or anything. I was just really thankful to have that Hoka opportunity for that race and that, that few weeks.
I think that's super cool that they support the ultra community like that. And it looked like they took really good care of all you guys. I liked everybody's picture that they had. Did you guys all get together for, where y'all had crossed your arms and had that white background?
Yeah, so they did an awesome job with all their like COVID criteria and stuff. So I was tested 2 times earlier that week, and then when I got on site, I had another test, and obviously they had to be negative to compete. So that photo shoot, yeah, everyone had their individual time slot. Like, you didn't overlap with anybody. It was just you and the photographer in the room. They took, 2 or 3 quick photos, and then you were on. You put your mask back on. You were on your way. You did a little video thing, and then you were done. The whole process took less than 5 minutes. But it was really good. They did a great job, getting that material and that marketing stuff, and giving us access to it. So not only for them to use and promote, but for all the athletes to then post on their social media and use it all. Seamless, safe, really high quality it was best organized event, I've been to that I can remember.
And how many people were in it?
So I think there were about 15 men competed and about 10 women, right around there, give or take a couple. So it was a pretty small event. There was no mass participation race. And, like I said, it was pretty much just Hoka athletes or people that were unsponsored and they could, kind of just compete under a Hoka agreement for a day. But they brought in, great competition from all across the world, really. Australia, the Netherlands, and obviously, the US. So you had some really good competition from across the world.
On the sidelines, was there anybody except Eric Senseman cheering you guys on? Because we watched on TV and it looked like it was Eric on the entire course.
Yeah, other than so it's about a 10K loop, little longer. There were 3 aid stations each loop. So other than Eric Senseman,
on our internet. Because
hopefully it's because you guys got too many subscribers now and too many people are viewing it or something.
Yes, everyone wants Royal to dance. That's what it is.
So are we live? Okay, so everybody's hearing our live. So we just had a little thing where we lost our internet for a second, but now we are back.
Hello.
I was just hearing the great story. I believe the last I heard was about at the race and the aid stations and Eric Senseman there cheering everybody on. And where else were we? What did I miss while I was gone?
What did we talk about? Oh, we talked about how awful Midwest winters are.
Yeah, we weren't sure if we were live still or not. So we talked about Midwest winters, and yeah, I let Crystal know that I lived in Illinois, in Champaign, Illinois for a year. So kind of related to that Midwest and yeah, the harsh winters and how they were worse than, Gunnison, Colorado winters, which is one of the coldest places in the US.
So Champaign, were you in college there?
So I was there 2016 to 2017, I believe, and I was a volunteer coach at University of Illinois for their track and cross country program.
Oh, how fun!
Yeah, no, it was a great experience. I learned a lot underneath those coaches and got to run with some pretty amazing collegiate athletes and have that experience of coaching some really fast runners that would blow me out of the water.
Here, let me check. Are we okay? Oh, okay. My son was looking around, so it got me nervous that we weren't. See, Diamond left because she could tell that there was stress in the room of us trying to figure out what was going on, and she does not like any stress. So she's sleeping someplace else at the trailhead here.
What a smart dog.
Smart, yeah.
So I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure we were still live. Well, we've actually had I think we've had I'm going to stick up for Midwest winters right now, Crystal. I think that this year's been exceptionally nice we've had a lot of snow that makes it fun. Crystal's not buying into it.
I'd rather have a wintry, like a snowy winter rather than just like a cold and windy one. So if there's snow, I think it kind of helps out and complements everything.
Yeah, it makes the trails so pretty, and it's fun to run on snow, especially a nice fresh packed or unpacked snow, like trailblazing.
No, sorry.
I'm not going to sell it to Crystal. I'm trying to keep her around when her daughter, like I plan on staying here, and I want Crystal to stick around.
No,
But
I went to Kentucky over the weekend and it was 45 and like no snow. I mean, it rained, but I was like, I could do this. This is a good winter.
Well, you should just come to Flagstaff because you get the nice winter experience. But if you want nicer weather, you just drive like an hour or two south, and you're at way lower elevation, and you're in Phoenix.
Woohoo! That sounds good. It's probably hot there all the time, huh?
Yeah, if you leave Flagstaff and go down there in the winter, it still seems pretty hot, even though it's like 50 or 60 degrees.
I'm good with that. Give it to me. I like that.
Well, we should probably do the Ornery Mule Stubborn 5. Usually I ask first, was there anything else that, and absolutely, if you have an hour-long story you want to tell us, that's fine. Was there anything else that, all of our, those people that shut down our internet tonight, all of those followers, is there something else that you'd like to tell them?
Oh, man, I don't know. Nothing that truly comes to mind, but I've had a lot of good running experiences and coaching experiences. So I just I guess if anyone really wants to know more, they can just reach out to me. You can find me on social media and stuff. So I definitely want to be a resource for everyone listening. And I can share more stories or probably relate a little closer to other people's scenarios and situations if needed. Yeah.
That actually reminds me. So, in looking you up and learning more about you, and I think it's your website page, you're running down a trail with a big box over your head.
Okay. Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah. So, when I was coaching at Western State Colorado University, one of my athletes put on a fundraiser 5K. And she was basically just like, it's fun, it's goofy, wear costumes or whatever. So I was like, okay, yeah. And I just, as a coach, I was always kind of serious, and I didn't really, show my goofy side all that much. And I just show up to this race in a box, and half of my athletes are like, who's that guy? Who's in a box? And, some of them figure it out, and they're like, oh, it's Coach Craig. But no one expected me to run fast. And the gun goes off, and I was right there with the leaders, and these guys were looking around, and they're like, oh my, how long is this box gonna, stick around? And it was about a 3-mile race, 5K, right around that distance. And it was 2 miles into the race, and I'm still running with these guys. And finally one of them was just kind of like, I can't let this box beat me. And he took off, and it was just, my biggest thing is I couldn't see very well. All I did was poke 2 eye holes in this giant box. And, but it was really funny. I ended up getting second. I think I ran 17:30 at 7,000 feet in a box, probably a world record for a costume altitude 5K.
Right. That's definitely a world record for a box.
It was covered by the local newspaper there, so the photographer was there, so he got this really nice professional photo of me running in the box. And then when I qualified for the Olympic trials, they created a profile for everybody, and they asked for a headshot or a running picture. And I just sent them that. So if you look me up on the Olympic trials, Atlanta Track Club website, you don't see my face. You just see a box running down this trail. And they asked me to send them a new photo, and so they could replace it. And I basically just ignored and didn't respond to their email, because I was like, no, that is a great photo. And that's truly me running. I didn't just pick a random photo. So it's still up there. Yeah. So I get a lot of comments on that, and I love it.
Oh, that is awesome.
I should have sent it to you guys. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, well, everybody listening, go find it. So just Google, So how do we get to it? Actually, I don't
Probably
remember
if you
how I
just
got
Google
to it.
Craig Hunt Olympic Trials Marathon, it'll bring up the Atlanta Track Club website, and it has all the athletes' bios on there, and you'll probably, click right on mine. And I'm just wearing this really tall box, and I think I
There
had a
it is.
sweatshirt over the box, like I dressed up the box, and then some sunglasses were poked into it. So
Yeah, it was.
Wait,
That's
I found
even
it.
a way better story than I imagined.
I found it. I found it. I
So-
found it.
Oh yeah, we're all techie here.
there
It's
you go.
backwards,
Oh my
but
god.
athlete bios. There he is.
Okay, Crystal is dying. That's awesome.
That is hilarious. All right, we can do the stubborn 5 now if everyone's ready. All right. Question 1 is share one thing about you that people may not know.
I have 6 siblings, so 7 kids total, and we all lived under the same roof at the same time. So like a lot of people have like step siblings and half brothers and sisters that you live in different households and stuff. Nope, we all lived same household, same roof. So there was plenty of fighting going on as I grew up, and I'm the second youngest, so 4 older brothers. I got I got my butt kicked quite a bit and picked on, but it made me tough, and I love them all, and we're all pretty close to this day. So yeah.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
Okay, what is something that you're looking forward to?
Ooh, I'm really looking forward to in October 31st, I believe, is the 2021 50K World Championships that I have qualified for automatically. So yeah, definitely looking forward to my second World Championship experience and hopefully improving upon my 10th place finish in 2019.
Oh, I can't wait to watch. That's awesome.
That is awesome. Oh, I see a new question. Ooh,
Oh, is
people
there?
have. Okay, well, there's a couple of them that said, okay. What's your favorite TV show?
My favorite TV show. I think it's a little cliche, but I love The Office. I think it's one of the funniest shows, and it gets me cracking up every episode, every time I watch it. So
Oh, yeah.
Office, hands down. I can just throw it on for a half hour, and kind of zone out and forget about every other stress or ache and pain I have in my body or life.
Yeah, and you can relate to The Office too, because I was in a CPR class a few weeks ago, and that episode with the CPR class in my head, and I wanted to stab the dummy and say,
Yep.
we only have minutes to harvest the organs. But I didn't want
That's
the
one of
guy
my
getting mad
favorite
at me.
intros.
So.
One of my favorite intros to the show is that scene.
Yep, it's funny. All right, do you have anyone that you look up to or an influence in your life?
Ooh, I mean, there's so many, right? I think it really depends on the time period I am in my life. I looked up to my older brother Dave a lot when I was in high school and just beginning my running career. I've had, so many coaches that I looked up to, whether they coached me or I was working with them as I was pursuing a coaching career. Sarah Hoffman at University of Illinois, Jen Michaels and Lindsey Grasmick at Western State, Colorado. I looked up to them, some really influential and powerful female coaches in the collegiate system. And, I had the honor to work with them. So they influenced so much of my running and my coaching. Man, my friends and coworkers here in Flagstaff, like, I don't know, there's so many people to look up to and aspire towards or just gain information from. I've learned so much from the therapist, that I work with, and just my roommates having some training partners. I look up to so many people, and all for different reasons, but I pull from all those people and, make the best of every interaction that I have with them.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Last question. I think I've done 5. What is your favorite treat for a job well done?
My favorite treat. Man, it seems like it should be so simple, but there's so many good
There's so many
treats.
good things. Yep.
I'm gonna have to go with a nice cinnamon bun.
Ooh.
Yeah,
No one has said cinnamon bun yet. That's a good answer.
Yeah, there's a place down in Sedona, and I've only been there once. I forget the name of it, but you can get this cinnamon bun that is literally like 2 pounds, and it's ginormous. It's the entire plate, and like, I don't know, I'm just in heaven with it. Like, I'll put myself in so much pain and agony trying to eat as much as I can, like stomach ache, but like you can't stop eating it, and then you have so much of it left for the next day and the day after that. So yeah, cinnamon bun, and the bigger the better.
So I'm actually writing down Sedona, and I'm writing cinnamon bun, because I will literally go to Sedona just for this cinnamon bun.
There you go. Yeah, I'm sure if you just Google it, like it'll pop up and you'll find it. It's killing me. I can't remember. The little. It's more of like a breakfast cafe restaurant that has it.
Awesome. Yeah, I am gonna do that right now. Actually, I mean, I quickly looked up your box picture on the Olympic trial website, so certainly I can find a giant cinnamon bun in Sedona, right?
I hope so. Yeah.
I'm curious. So, do you rap with Rory? Yeah.
Do I rap with Rory? No, he has not asked me to rap with him, but I do. A lot of you can probably maybe 30% of the time I'm the guy behind the camera filming him. So I get a lot of that experience. Yeah. So, and he's always running his lyrics by me and our other roommates. So yeah, it's pretty cool, like having him rap and just being able to, spit some bars, out of nowhere, and, really make them work or tie into trail running and competitions and stuff. It's pretty impressive. So yeah, Trail Gangsters, look him up on YouTube. I'm in a couple of his music videos, so you'll find me there. Yeah, in some silly costumes, probably not as silly as the box, but dressed goofy in some of them.
Yeah, we love the Trail Gangsters. It's hard for me to say. For some reason, it just doesn't roll off my tongue. Yeah. But we love them. We want so you'll have to be part of that group. So we want all of you guys to come here. So I'm at the trailhead in Crystal Lake. We're like right on a trail, and they're like for a lot of miles. And we want to do like a dance video, and we can't dance. Only my son can with Trail Gangsters. So Midwest and the Arizona people.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I think that would be a pretty big hit, definitely.
Well, that's good. Funny. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I mean, very interesting. I mean, I absolutely loved your story and everything that you have going on. We learned a lot in the last hour or so.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. This is, ton of fun, and I'm always happy to, share my stories and share my experiences.
Yeah, we'll have to have you back after World, if you don't mind.
No, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'd love to do that, and talk about Worlds, and hopefully I'll do a bunch of races ahead of that too. So, we'll have more to talk about.
And also, look at Kettle 100. It's one of the oldest races in the country, and we would love to have you out there. I think that you
absolutely.
Like that.
Yeah, I'll look into it and give it some thought.
Okay. Well, thanks everyone. Thanks Loretta for organizing all this. Thanks to my son Royal and Dirt Dog over here. See, I keep going the wrong direction over here. Thanks, Crystal.
No problem. Thank you, Craig, so much for coming on. It was nice talking to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. It was a great experience.
Okay, bye everyone.
Awesome. Bye.
Bye.